the ostensible starting point for a lot of Peirce's philosophical reflections was what he was against as opposed to what he was for. What he was against was the infection of philosophy by the Cartesian demand, as we could put it that way. The demand for utter clarity, the demand for investigating the inner world to make it the irrefutable and indubitable foundation of all later progress. And Peirce, strangely enough, in spite of his talk about consciousness, which he compared to a vast lake at one of his great metaphors, ends up saying that there actually is no inner world in the Cartesian sense. The Cartesian sense obviously thinks in a certain sense of the mind and consciousness as an inner theater in which ideas can be sorted and combined in specific ways, and that the self, in a certain sense, his early papers took a direct aim at this complex Cartesian process by denying that we could look at ourselves in any fashion that could be called intuition. The reason is, obviously, is that, and from a strange point of view, in the light of what somebody such as Husserl later did with Cartesian, the Cartesian attack and his Cartesian meditations, Descartes, in a certain sense, thought, in a sense, that you could stop the inner time of consciousness. He did not really emphasize the flow of consciousness, the place in which there were distinct faculties, distinct objects being given to the inner sense. And Peirce immediately tried to indicate that whatever else the self is, it is a flow, it's a process. And processes are defined not by stasis, but by befores and afters, in which as the before and after phases can be reflected upon, but they can never be stopped. And Peirce then saw that, tried to argue toward the point that in the flow of consciousness, the reflector, in reflecting upon the reflected upon, always grasps the prior states as signs. So we have already the notion that the self is given to itself in a process by which all prior phases have to be read. Well, that immediately knocks the base out of the notion of a atemporal intuition, or that the notion that the self is an object.